not be unilateral to push for their desire and their rule or others. And that would be concern of a support system. So the winning president will take all to step their obvious with the campaign steps, aids, and once we have commented what is political office and many important checks on the authority of president, which is quite intimate and direct. So they actually empower by winning the political election. So they are, of course, ultimate authority to execute laws and often implementing the needed structure to monitor, oversee. Now, therefore, they are political and may sway on the power of, for example, public opinion. They could not disregard the. Once I commented, the judiciary is very adequate branch since they are politically insulated. The public agencies, administrative agencies, nonetheless has to be loyal and faithful to the elected officials, president, and the key steps, and of course to the also Congress. So that will differ from the judiciary, and also the constitutional status is also distinct when it considers judiciary. So the executive branch is more dense in characteristics of agents, and actually hybrid between political officers and long-term bureaucrats. So they would be professional about civil service. And once I introduced the thesis of Professor Kaufman about the new tendency within the bureaucratic resources. So they are destined in common status. So they now change. So it might be sensed in the last cram for examinations. So they are now no definite commitment. Might have good chance to avoid any accusation. So don't to the succeeding administration. Often the switch of government would be one major attribute in the liberal democracies, while the past paradigm of communists would endure reign, perhaps idealistically permanent for the working class. So that is also a point in comparison. We now operate the liberal democracies, that is predicated on a switch of government, what parties and politics imply. We have a chance to alter the party and reign. We now want a new party in power and reign. Nonetheless, the ideology is fairly fundamental and embedded, which would not permit any other alternatives. Only the dictatorship of working class produces good. That is the presumption. The assessment of transitions between two presidencies in this context raises an interesting comparison. about the pros and cons of midnight regulation. How do you think it most effectively achievable if to reduce the cons and increase the pros within this tradition and practice? So I like also accepted one interesting paragraph from the website. The policy about the midnight regulations. The policy area I chose is veteran healthcare. Veteran healthcare is run by a Veterans Health Administration, which is the largest integrated healthcare system in the country. There are over 1,700 sites where veterans can receive care, and 8.676 million veterans are served at these sites each year. So Veterans Health Administration. The United States is actually major power to be responsible for international peace. So UN may be seen properly in the initiative of the United States. Also, nonetheless, we have the system of UN Security Council, where the major powers are permanent members who also could exercise a veto about any resolution. Actually, the United Nations is a system which is politically envisaged as idealistic government, and also the forum to place many sovereign goals of international peace and human rights and the democratic virtues in the long run convicted across jurisdictions. So we have learned kind of, for example, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In any case, if we properly see it as a political organization about the international community, then there must be some instrumentality to enforce the policy or any laws. We have conventions in subject matters widespread. For example, what is a UNESCO, one special agency, and perhaps International Court of Justice would be one kind of judiciary to dispose the case of controversies concerning international public law among the states on the planet. So we have many peer agencies which are special and divided in subject matters. So the most proximate entity as close to international government, but we could hardly say it is the international government. We may prefer to denote as international organization. Nonetheless, we have some key engines about peacekeeping operation and others. So compulsory measure could be possible, and they shaped to respond with the international threat or world aggression, but could be limited as a matter of a structure. In any case, the veto power of a permanent member states since it should not but be a realistic realism. So we have two paradigms in understanding international politics. One is idealistic person, and also the other is, so we call them a pacifist, which could well be represented by United Nations. But UN Security Council also corroborates with the version realist role. And there is unique agency, to make the United Nations as some of some of a effective organization in terms of the international peace. And the United States undertook waged many wars in the second mission assigned by the United Nations and multinational forces about Iraqi invasion into Kuwait. And the internal war within African states also required that the United Nations actually intervene with multinational force. And Korea was collaborated to sign some of special military units which would not be a militant. So the veterans issue domestically highly sensitive and not impractical when we consider the Korean situation. We have no serious issue. Once we have some controversies about Vietnam War veterans, they suffer from some serious illness. What do you call it? In any case, that state Korean society to remedy in any social justice concern. So now, 8.76 million veterans are served at these sites each year. The Veteran Health Administration is an administrative office within the Department of Veteran Affairs. So there are special departments to address the issue and agendas of a veteran. Midnight regulation is a spike of new regulations that are proposed at the end of a president's term. During this time, the regulations are reviewed by the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, with a focus on regulations that have an annual effect on the economy of 100 million or more. A regulation that was proposed during midnight regulations that can affect veterans' health care was the Veterans Administration's proposal to change informed consent regulations for HIV testing. This regulation would affect the Veteran Health Administration since it falls under the Veterans Administration in healthcare. The purpose of the regulation is to amend the Department of Veteran Affairs informed consent regulations to update requirements concerning HIV testing in order to be consistent with the Veterans Mental Health and Other Care Improvement Act of 2008. And how we consider the issue of stem cell research. The Stem Cell Research Enforcement Act is published in that act. It defined as an institutional review committee that reviews specific requirements regarding cloning gastro rating, embroidery, and nuclear transfer genetic material of a human being that constitutes stem cell. And that actually is an area of concern that the federal government has intervened to address properly among competing interests and American values. President George Bush addressed stem cell research nationally on August 9, 2001. So in that announcement, the government placed a certain limitation on funding such a research policy. And so the stem cell research was once banned by federal government and was allowed to be experimental. So the new Obama administration revised the prior version of federal act. So the during the term of Bush administration, the stem cell research could not be funded any longer in the federal purpose, and funding is one of the important techniques to promote the general welfare and encourage some specific activities and ensure compliance from the actors or players. And the situation has turned in a different way when the Obama administration inaugurated. Now, so actually, the past act requires these stem cell research. Well, for example, the other area could be discussed. What is it? Homosexual marriage. How do we say this? The recent act in federal purpose was stipulated the gay or lesbian marriage would not be considered an official marriage in the purpose, in federal purpose. So they could not claim any alimony or pension welfare benefits, for example, based on their marriage. They could no longer claim their basis for marriage in any federal scheme. So that is consequential. So consider scrupulously about